Excellent. Welcome to Summer Associate Hub's first virtual recruiting event of the new year, our live virtual IP practice showcase. We are happy to share that our student audience tonight are all registered participants for our upcoming IP virtual interview program happening on Friday, January 30th. So all of our students here, you're in good company. A quick update for our students who are in our audience tonight on that program. The application portal opens mid-January. We're already almost there, and submissions will be due by January 20th. Please be sure to keep an eye on the email inbox that you registered with for updates. And don't forget to check out the frequently asked questions that we previously sent out for more information. I ask that you don't use the Q&A to ask questions, tonight's Q&A to ask questions about the January 30th program. I promise you, you're going to be sick of all the emails we're sending over the next few weeks. But today's session features some great firms: Finnegan, Rothwell Figg, and Sterne Kessler. Each of these firms are platinum sponsors of this year's IP virtual interview program. And we really highly encourage you to stick around after our panel to meet with the firms in tonight's breakout rooms. It is a great way to engage with these top IP firms and may be a great fit for you. My name is Paula from Summer Associate Hub, and I'm proud to have you all here. Before we jump in, a little bit about what Summer Associate Hub is. Summer Associate Hub is a free content and resource hub for law students embarking on the 1L and 2L recruiting process. I'm a former big law legal recruiting professional, so I know firsthand how wild the 1L experience can be, especially when it comes to figuring out what it's really like to work at a big law firm. Our platform, Summer Associate Hub, has blog posts, podcast episodes, short video tutorials and exercises, interviews with attorneys, and other content to help you learn more about both the IP practice area and prepare you for your recruiting process, which probably has started already. For those of you also who are interested in areas outside of IP, we will be hosting our transactional practice showcase and our litigation practice showcase next week and the following week. I'll post the link in our Q&A in a little bit to make sure that you can sign up if you haven't already. The best way to stay updated is to sign up for our newsletter. So you're in luck, because if you signed up for tonight's event, you're already automatically signed up for our newsletter. Let's go over how tonight's going to work. We're going to jump in with each firm. They're going to provide a short presentation about their summer program and IP practice areas. After the firms present, we'll have a panel discussion with a few questions that are going to include super helpful insights on applying as a 1L, how to tell IP practices apart, patent lit versus patent prosecution, and tips on succeeding as both a 1L and a 2L. At the end of the panel, I'm here in Cranford, New Jersey. You can drop where you're coming from if you're back on campus, or where you might be joining us from tonight in the Q&A. Make sure it's working. Make sure our friends are listening out there. Each firm will have a separate breakout room where you can pop in, ask questions, meet some of the firm's team members. The breakout rooms will all be easily available through this Zoom. So stay logged in and I'll direct you there. I do want to give you an FYI. If you're joining us tonight via mobile or browser version of the Zoom, the breakout room function might not work. So just make sure that you're on the Zoom app, desktop app on your computer. If you do have questions specific to tonight's presentation, you can drop it in the Q&A. I'll be keeping an eye on it just in case we do have time for a few questions. If we don't, please take those questions with you into the breakout rooms. And on that note, let's get started. We are going to kick it off in alphabetical order randomly. Finnegan is going to go first and share about their summer program and IP program.
All right, thank you. My name is Erik Puknys. A quick bit of information about myself. I am joining you from Palo Alto, California. I began my career at Finnegan in 1994 in Washington, D.C., and was never a summer associate. So let me get that out right of the way. I joined the firm as a student associate. I was a patent examiner for a few years until I decided to go join a firm, and Finnegan was one of the few firms at the time that had a program where you could go to night school while working for the firm during the day. So I joined them in '94 as a law student at George Mason University there outside of DC. In 1997, I helped open up the California office here in Palo Alto, here in Silicon Valley. And I've been practicing here ever since. I started my career doing patent prosecution, getting people patents from the patent office. And then when I moved out to California, I shifted to litigation. And today my practice is about 50-50 district court litigation, patents and trade secrets, and appellate work. So let me show you a little bit about Finnegan and why I think it's a great place to practice, what attracted me to it in the first place. I will start with, let's see. Whatever you want to do in intellectual property, you can do it at Finnegan. If you want to obtain IP for clients, advise them on getting patents or trademarks or copyright, trade secrets. We have a ton of lawyers that do that here that make their entire practice about it. We have a lot of lawyers like myself who are advocates. Pretty much any place you can litigate a patent in the United States, we have experts in district courts around the country, the federal circuit, other courts of appeal, and in the patent office and the ITC if agency litigation is your thing. And then if you have more of a business-minded orientation, we also have a lot of lawyers who specialize in licensing and technology transactions. We've got the full complement of IP services here. Where do you want to practice? Like I said, I started off my career at our headquarters in Washington, D.C., helped open up the Palo Alto office in 1997, the same year that the Atlanta office opened. We have a large office in Boston. And for those of you who don't want to deal with the commute from Northern Virginia to Washington, D.C., we have a good size office in Reston as well. And we also have a very big international footprint. Our first office outside of Washington, D.C. was in Tokyo. Taipei was our second office in Asia, followed by Shanghai and most recently Seoul. And in London, we have lawyers who actually practice local law, while our Asia offices are more client services offices where we help our Asian clients deal with IP issues in the United States and Europe. Our European offices are practicing European law. So they do patent procurement out of London and Munich, and they also do quite a bit of litigation in those places. And one other thing, if you're not sure you would like to practice in London or Munich or Tokyo or Taipei, but you have an interest in them, all these offices are very integrated. So it's not like we just joined a firm into Finnegan in Tokyo or joined a firm in Atlanta and said, hey, do you want to take your shingle down, put our shingle up? They are all integrated into the practice. So for example, my most active case involves lawyers from Boston, Atlanta, Washington, D.C., and Tokyo. And so they're working offices and they mix and match quite well. We're more interested in getting the person who's best for the particular task rather than where they're located, although sometimes where they're located makes sense depending on the court and the client. Whatever industry sector you want to work in, Finnegan has clients who are very active in those sectors. So no matter what technology interests you, you can find it here. And again, whatever kind of IP you want to practice, you can practice it at Finnegan. One of the differentiating factors about Finnegan is training. I personally am very active in the writing program. I teach writing to our first-year associates and then follow up with writing programs geared towards as attorneys get more senior. So for example, for mid-level and senior associates, I do a program on managing other people's writing. And then we have classes about brief writing specifically. But it's not just writing, it's really all aspects of what make you a great lawyer. So we have one-on-one training for leadership, communication. A lot of our lawyers, English is not their first language, and we'll bring in consultants and make sure that those people are not losing opportunities because maybe their English isn't as strong as it could be. And so we work with them for that. And then as you get more senior, we want you to step into management roles in the firm. We want you to step into running cases. And so you need to understand budgets. You need to understand clients. You need to understand what they need. And so we spend a lot of time training the whole lawyer, not just legal talent, but also business talent and management and leadership.
1 minute, Erik.
Yeah, okay. Here are the three areas that are most popular in the firm and some of the training that we do. And these are both in-house training opportunities, but also we bring in consultants from outside for all of them. We encourage pro bono practice. We have a very active pro bono practice for veterans appeals. And so if you want to help veterans get benefits, that's a very active and popular program. But our pro bono program spans immigration law, and it also spans just really any issues that pop up. I handled a case out of the Seventh Circuit involving sexual assault at a university out there. And so the opportunities for pro bono, we encourage people to do it, and you will always be supervised by a more senior attorney, but you will get some excellent opportunities when you're there. And then finally, we have a shadowing program, which is sensitive to clients that maybe they don't want 4 attorneys showing up for a hearing. But the way to learn how to practice law is to watch law being practiced. And so we want to make sure that our attorneys, even if they're not taking an active role in the hearing, but they get an opportunity to see what a hearing is all about, see what a trial is all about. I brought a junior attorney with me to a 5-day arbitration in Frankfurt last year, and the firm paid for it. The client didn't pay a dime for it because we thought it was important for these junior attorneys to actually see how these things get done, even in situations where the clients who are very budget conscious won't pay for it. And here is a detail. There's too much detail on that for our summer associate program, but I will highlight that last year's program was ranked as a survey of all the summer associates who participated in all of the big law firms. Finnegan was ranked number 5, and we can talk about maybe why that is later. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Eric. And what I really love is that everyone of our participants from our firms want to keep talking about their firms, which we love. So make sure you're taking notes.
Yeah.
We keep continuing. We're going to keep talking about it, which is the best part. Brett, you're up next. Tell us a little bit about Rothwell Figg.
Sounds great. Thanks, Paula, and thanks, Eric, for the helpful presentation on Finnegan. So my name is Brett Postal, and I'm a partner and shareholder at Rothwell Figg. We are about a 40-attorney boutique IP law firm based in Washington, D.C. primarily. I've been at the firm for about 15 years, and I was a summer associate here at Rothwell Figg. I went to GW Law School and graduated in 2011, and have been at Rothwell Figg ever since. And I think there's a lot of other folks who have spent their whole career here and really enjoy working here, and it's a wonderful place to work. I'm also involved in the recruiting committee and really enjoy working with younger attorneys, first-year associates, second-year associates, and summer associates as well. A little bit about our firm to start off with. We, as I mentioned, are about 40 attorneys. About half of those attorneys practice in what I call the high-tech space. So that's the engineering side of the house, the computer science side of the house. And then the other half of the attorneys practice in the life science side. So folks with chemistry backgrounds and biology backgrounds. I personally have a chemistry background, and I do practice across the entire spectrum of IP law. About half of my practice is patent litigation matters, and the other half is patent prosecution matters. And I do think Rothwell Figg is a little bit unique in that respect, in that I think if you look at the attorneys' bios on their website, a lot of the folks here, not everybody, but a lot of the folks do practice across the spectrum and do a mix of both litigation and prosecution. And that's something that we emphasize and focus on in our summer associate program. As I'll talk about in a little bit, we do offer seminar programs and mentorship programs for summer associates on both sides of the house, and we strongly encourage folks to give as much IP work a try as possible, because we do think that sort of learning about prosecution really does help you become a better litigator, and vice versa. That is, learning about litigation also helps you become a better prosecutor, and sort of learning the pitfalls and traps that can come with down the road if you're not doing something proper during patent prosecution. As far as our summer associate program goes, our program is 8 to 10 weeks. During that program, we pair everybody up with both an associate mentor and a partner mentor. Due to the size of the firm, though, you're really able to get to know just about everybody here, all the way up from the named partners, all the way down to the support staff, who's really integral in the firm. And I think we've got a wonderful support staff here who's really great to work with. And I know we've had a ton of folks who have started out as paralegals and have gone through law school and have continued to work for the firm. So I think that's really great as well. During the summer associate program, though, some of the things that you'd have the opportunity to learn about and work with are we have Patent Prosecution 101 Boot Camp, where that's 4 different seminars over the course of the summer program, where you kind of learn the ins and outs of patent prosecution. I know a lot of folks who even might have a patent law class at a law school. You might sort of learn about case law, but not all law schools offer sort of some of the ins and outs about patent prosecution. So we've heard and we've had great experience with folks through that Patent Prosecution 101 boot camp. And then we also have a similar seminar program for patent litigation matters. We've got 4 seminars on the patent litigation side throughout the course of the summer, and that culminates in a field trip to the Federal Circuit, where folks get to see an oral argument. I know this past year it happened to be an oral argument that one of the attorneys at our firm was handling, and so that was really exciting that the summers were here when that was going on, and they got a chance to see firsthand an argument from one of the attorneys at the firm. The other great opportunities available through the summer are we've got great hands-on real-world experience where you'll be working directly in areas of your choice on patent prosecution and patent litigation matters directly with associates and partners. And my experience and what we've heard from others is it's very similar to what it's like to be a first-year associate. So we definitely give you real-world experience, whether it's drafting a section of a brief or drafting a response to an office action. It's a wonderful opportunity. And then the last plug that I'll make for our summer associate program is we do have a number of social activities at least once every other week that I think really round out the program. And like I said earlier, give you the opportunity to meet with just about all of the attorneys here that work at the firm. So that's an overview of the firm and our summer associate program. And I hope a lot of you have questions. I'd love to speak with you in the breakout room, and I'll have a couple other attorneys here from the firm to answer any questions that you might have.
Awesome. Thank you, Brett. I thought you were going to say there's also boot camp that are workout classes for some. There might be. Who doesn't love a boot camp on both sides of the house for summer program? So thank you so much. And now we are lucky enough to have Heather Molina and Tyler Dutton with us from Sterne Kessler. I think, Heather, you're going to tell us a little bit about your summer program and your IP practice.
Sure. I'm going to let Tyler introduce himself because he's going to jump on the panel. So I'll let him do first and then I'll jump in.
Go ahead.
Hello. Thank you for inviting me to come talk. My name is Tyler Dutton. I've been at Sterne Kessler now for a little over 11 years. I started here as a first-year associate and I'm now a director at the firm. And my practice mostly is district court and ITC litigation, although here at Sterne Kessler, a lot of early associates do dabble in prosecution as well. And we have a full prosecution practice. So I have some background in prosecution, but I've shifted kind of in the more litigation arena, as well as inter partes review proceedings at the patent office. So kind of with that little background, I'm excited to answer your questions later, but I'll let Heather kind of take the lead on introducing the summer program.
Great. Thanks, Tyler. I'm going to quickly just go through a little bit about the firm and our summer program. Can you guys see my screens? Can you just give me a thumbs up if you see? Okay, perfect. A little bit about Sterne Kessler. We are the 4th largest IP firm in the country. We have about 200 timekeepers. Our timekeepers are our directors, is what we call our partners, associates, some student associates, patent agents, and technical specialists. We are based in Washington, D.C., though we have a pretty big global and national network as well. A little bit about the breakdown of our services, if I can, sorry. Good. This is sort of the breakdown. As Tyler had mentioned, we do about 39% of our work is patent prosecution, followed by litigation, post-grant proceedings, strategic advice like portfolio management, and then a small area of trademarks. That's just sort of a broader breakdown of the practices at the firm. Our firm is made up of 4 practice groups. Students will apply to each group that they are interested and qualified for. There are different qualifications for each of the practice groups. So students can apply to 2 different positions at the firm if they're interested in a summer associate position with us. Our largest practice group is our biotechnology and chemical group. And so those are life science companies, schools, that sort of thing, biotechnology, healthcare, and chemistry. For students to be qualified for this, they do need to have an advanced degree. though we will consider students that don't have an advanced degree, but that have substantive sort of lab experience or experience at an IP firm prior to starting law school. Our electronics group, everything electronics. So AI and computing, semiconductor and hardware, software, biomedical and imaging technologies. And our mechanical and design group, sort of consumer and lifestyle products. So my favorite thing was their clients are things that you see in your home, which is always fun to sort of think about as well. And then our litigation group kind of goes across sort of all IP disciplines as well. So while students will apply to a specific group, each of the practice groups, as Tyler mentioned, does do a lot of litigation, PTAB litigation, some district court, that sort of thing. But students are placed into a specific group, and we can answer more specifically about that in our breakout rooms if you have questions about that. A little bit about the summer associate experience at the firm. We do try to mirror a first-year associate experience. We recognize that this is a 10-week interview for you. It is a 10-week interview for us as an employer. So we do substantive trainings. We do like to put you on real-life cases, so you are doing pretty substantive work throughout your summer. We provide a lot of mentorship, and then feedback is a really big part of the summer because that's how you learn and grow. So some of the programs that are specific to the summer, we do have a writing training, a presentation training. Each of the summer associates do a presentation to each of their groups of an area of interest to them. So that's at the end of the summer. It's kind of a project that they work on throughout the whole summer. This past summer, the professional development team introduced an Elevate series because we recognized that students sort of needed kind of a lot of holistic types of thing. We want to make sure that emotional intelligence and ownership of your work, that you're recognizing those things. Financial literacy, you're going to get paid a lot of money as a summer associate. So making sure that you kind of know like what comes with that. And then wellness. Wellness is a really big thing that we think students are really focusing on now. And we just want to make sure that you are starting really good wellness routines early on in your career as you transition into a full-time attorney. There's also a ton of panels throughout the summer. And then there's practice group specific trainings, like patent prosecution specifically to biotechnology, that sort of thing. Each of our summer associates are given 3 mentors. They get a professional development advisor who is a director. They get an associate counsel advisor, and that sort of senior associate person really sort of oversees the workflow of a person, making sure that a summer associate has work, doesn't have too much work, is working with a variety of people within the group. And then there's a buddy who is a junior associate. And the whole idea of a buddy is to make sure that they can find somebody that they can ask questions to that you don't necessarily want to ask a director for. So that's sort of the formal mentorship that somebody gets. But the whole point of having sort of different levels of mentors is that they're supposed to introduce you to their own colleagues. So PD advisors are introducing you to other directors, associate advisors are introducing you to senior associates, and so on and so forth. And we're not so large that you don't have regular interaction with all attorneys at the firm. All the social activities are all the directors are invited. And there's just kind of a lot of opportunities to have a lot of interaction with all of the attorneys and staff members of the firm. Feedback.
1 minute, Heather.
Okay, sorry. I'll be as quick. Feedback is really important. That's how you grow. So there's informal feedback through the entire summer. After assignments, one-on-one feedback as you're meeting with your associate advisors, as you're meeting with people on assignments. And then there is a final summer evaluation process that mirrors, on a smaller level, mirrors our annual associate evaluation. It really just gives an opportunity to give more formal feedback. Summers identify people that they want to get feedback from, and then it helps guide their development if they come in as a first-year associate, and then also informs our hiring decisions. And then the fun things. We are in DC, so there's lots of opportunities. We do kind of boat tours, trolley tours around all the monuments. One of my favorite events is that we do trivia. So we have trivia every week. It gets very, very competitive. Each of the practice groups has a team and the staff group has a team. Litigation has one, but mechanical and design won last year. So that was really exciting. We also do a Meet the Directors event where 3 or 4 directors smoke a bunch of meat and we have a barbecue on the rooftop, which is really fun. We have an annual crab feast. We have an annual baseball game. So it's really just a lot of opportunity to interact with kind of everybody across the firm. So if you have any other questions, we hope you join us for our breakout room. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Heather. And thank all of you. It's really great to hear about summer programs and an overview of both that and the IP practices straight from the people experiencing them and putting them together and participating. I know our students are spending a lot of time on the firm websites, so that was really great. So let's jump into our questions. First one, maybe we'll put Tyler in the hot seat for this one. So aside from trivia being an interest for applicants to Sterne Kessler, what do you look for in an IP candidate aside from meeting your application requirements? And we'd like to hear from all of you for these questions, so please feel free to jump in. But Tyler, we'll start with you.
Yeah, something that we really look for candidates is an eagerness to learn and improve, because we've recognized that coming in as a summer, you're just starting your career and you have a ton to learn, and not only about patent law and the procedures of that we deal with every day, but also how to work at a law firm generally. And so we're looking for candidates that really come in with demonstrating curiosity and asking questions that they've clearly thought about and that are tailored to our firm, that they've researched our firm and come in with questions and wanting to learn more. So that's a big non qualification type of thing that we look for. But we do look for the strong technical backgrounds that kind of match the interests of our clients and all of that as well, obviously. But yeah.
Great. Erik, Brett, want to jump in? What do we look for in an IP candidate aside from application requirements?
Everything Tyler said, I describe it as commitment. I mean, obviously, if you want to get into patent prosecution, a technical degree is maybe not strictly necessary, but the patent office rules kind of make it necessary. Patent litigation, there's a little more freedom. We have a number of people who are in patent litigation without technical degrees. But they have shown commitment to IP in other ways, either in a prior job or in law school. They were on an IP related moot court or an IP related journal. They took classes dedicated to IP. We're looking for people, all of us. I mean, Brett and Heather and Tyler, they know students look at IP law, and that's always, is a great practice because everyone's looking for IP lawyers, and IP lawyers tend to be very happy, and IP lawyers tend to be very busy and popular. And so, I get a little suspicious when, somebody is sort of, maybe I'll try IP and see if it's as interesting as what I really want to do, which is maybe, antitrust or, business transactions on the financial side, stuff like that. So commitment, really, demonstrated commitment is something I look for.
Yeah, I would echo everything that Tyler and Erik have said. I think really it can just be one thing that's on your resume, one student organization at your law school, or maybe it's doing research with a professor in the IP space. Or I know some universities, some law schools have blogs now, so maybe it's writing an IP related blog post for the law school. It really just some demonstration that you've got an interest and a commitment to IP is really important. So anytime that you can put that on your resume, I think that's a really good hook that would signal you out and your resume out as to one of the other ones that we're looking at. And I think even just also remembering to sort of update and tailor your resume to the specific job that you're applying to. So I know sometimes we'll see students demonstrate an interest in a number of different areas of law, as Erik was alluding to earlier, but make sure that you're kind of putting your IP related organizational activities first on your resume if you're applying to an IP firm. I think that's really important.
Awesome. So to law students, many law firms can look the same, right? So they've identified that they're interested in IP, like you said, they know they're interested, but what do you suggest to our 1Ls on how to tell the law firms or the IP practices apart, whether right now when they're applying or even later in the school year?
I'm happy to go.
Yeah, go ahead. Let's go. Yeah, great.
I think there's two pieces of information that I'd highly recommend to get a good feel for the law firm. One is to visit. I know a lot of interview programs are remote now. Um, a lot of these law firms, and this is us included, offer in-person visits and also have sort of student events throughout the year where we welcome either interview candidates or people that we've extended interviews to come to various social events. I think it's really critical to meet people in person. So that's one thing that I would recommend. And then number two is to reach out to attorneys at the firm, junior attorneys, maybe somebody who recently graduated from the same law school that you're at, or maybe it's somebody that has a similar technical background as yours, or maybe it's somebody who's working on a case that really interests you. But just reaching out to that person, seeing if they're able to hop on a 15-minute Zoom, a 20-minute Zoom, or if you're in the same area as them, if they're willing to go get coffee. I know I've had a lot of law students do this, and I think it's a great opportunity, but for both of us to meet each other. You've got an inroad, even if you don't end up at that law firm, you've got a connection that you've made. So I would really highly recommend those two things for law students to get a good feel for the law firms.
Yeah, and I'll kind of add in, like, I think it's really important that when you're choosing a law firm, you ultimately get in a place where you're excited about the type of work that that law firm is doing. And you kind of get a spiel about from all firms of what types of cases that they're doing and kind of the best view of best filter of what they have to offer. But I think what would be really helpful for you to look into is to see what issues the law firms are publishing in, what type of legal issues the attorneys are writing about, because it gives kind of you some insight of how deep they're thinking about the legal issues and what they're working on and how they're distinguishing themselves in the market. And you can also look like the great thing about law school is a lot of the tools for legal research are free. So take a look at Docket Navigator and see what cases the firms are actually working on live right now, because the summer is not that far in the future, and those might be the cases that you're working on. Play things like Docket Navigator, Westlaw. You can filter by firm and by attorney. And so that's another resource that kind of out of the box that you might find useful.
I'll add a few things, and I'll reference Brett's and Heather's presentations, which I think were great, and something that their firm does, something that our firm does, is it gives you the freedom to go into, do you want to do litigation? Do you want to do prosecution? Do you want to have a mixed practice? And that's not true of all firms. Some GP firms, they're as flexible as the three firms that you have in front of you right now, but some firms ask you to commit very early to a prosecution practice or a litigation practice. And I will tell you, when I started my career, I came from the patent office. I thought I was best suited for patent prosecution because I knew the office, I knew it well. It turns out that even though, fast forward 30 years, I have a reputation as a very good brief writer, I could not write a patent application to save my life. And it was very, very frustrating to me. But I was given some opportunities to get into litigation and do brief writing and written advocacy. And I had a talent for that in a way that I didn't have a talent for patent drafting, which surprised me and surprises some people. So I think look for firms that let you be adaptable. Can you shift your practice after trying a little bit of everything to see what you're best at? Or if you want to do your whole career splitting between things. I couldn't keep track of docket in litigation and a docket in the patent office, so I shifted to litigation, but not everybody has to do that. Another thing to look for is talk to the associates and see how many different partners they're working for. Some firms, because of the way the internal incentives are set up for partners, they don't share. And my sister was an associate at a big law firm that everybody would probably know. And she worked for one partner for 5 years, and that partner left to go to another firm, and she felt she had no choice but to go to the other firm with that partner because she didn't know any other partners in her practice group where she was there. So keep an eye on that. Little things that you might not know to look for. Another thing to look for is how many clients are in the area where you like to work. If the firm is dominated by one client, that client leaving or that client shifting work, if a new general counsel comes in and all of a sudden wants to go to a new firm, that can upturn a practice very, very quickly. And a lot of attorneys can all of a sudden be out of work. So, all the firms here have a very diverse client pool where no single client dominates the practice. And so there's a lot of flexibility. And so when you're talking to associates, especially how many partners they work with, how many clients they work with, and if they've chosen their practice or if they feel like they're kind of stuck in a practice.
Erik, if you don't mind, I'm going to stay with you for a minute. Because
Yeah.
you mentioned this, can you elaborate a little bit and share what would you recommend to a student who wants to do patent work, like you mentioned, but is unsure between litigation and prosecution at this point in their process?
Yeah.
What would you recommend to them?
Try it. All three of the firms that are here today will give you an opportunity to try both litigation and prosecution. And I think the reason we've all ended up where we are is we realize that when you're 24 years old, you don't know if you're going to be you don't know if you're going to be able to take a deposition. You don't know if you're going to be able to write a patent application. And so firms that will let you try a little bit of everything to see what you like and what you're good at, which usually are the same thing.
Great. Anyone else want to add to that?
Yeah, I completely agree that it's really important to get exposure to both, even though that you think that you want to do prosecution or you want to do litigation, because they play off of each other. It's important to know how to draft a patent claim that will sustain validity challenges in district court. And so the litigation experience is really important for a patent prosecution practice to be able to get good patent claims that hold up. And there's benefits of knowing how the patent prosecution process works so that you can figure out things in the prosecution history to leverage during litigation. And so like not only is it important, I think, to figure out what you're good at, but it's important to learn from both processes and both aspects of patent law to be a better attorney in the one that you ultimately decide to specialize in.
Yeah, I would agree with all that. And I think the other thing with patent prosecution and patent litigation is they have very different demands and very different kind of workflows. So I think it can be important to sort of experience both, not just from the substantive perspective and to get a feel for what it's like to practice patent prosecution and what it's like to patent practice litigation, but they have different levels of predictability. So I think it's also important and valuable to sort of put yourself through both experiences, see how you handle both, and your personality might lend itself more to one versus another, just from a personality trait perspective, as opposed to even the substantive work.
Thank you all so much. And everyone has touched on this, but since it is the beginning of a new year and everyone's circling back, let's circle back for what advice you would give to an actual summer associate. A summer associate has applied to your firm, they landed a spot in your program. Now they are either a 1L or 2L summer at your firm. What advice are you giving? What piece of advice are you giving them to succeed as a summer associate at your firm?
I'll take this one first. Be reliable. That is something that, lawyers from the top 5 law school, they have great resumes, they're super smart. They're no more reliable than somebody from, the 50th ranked law school. Reliability is what leads to success. If you can build a reputation as being reliable, you'll be successful in this business. First, convince the senior attorneys in your firm, the people who are giving the work within the firm, that you're reliable. You'll never lack for business. And eventually, you need to convince the clients and the potential clients who are outside the firm that you are reliable, so they'll give you the work. And that's really, if there's one attribute that leads to success, it's not super intelligence, it's not being the best writer, it's not being the best on your foot litigator, it's being reliable. All those other things you have to be good at, but you don't have to be the best at. But if you're the most reliable, if you build a reputation for reliability, you're going to be a success.
Right.
One thing that I would suggest would be to be inquisitive. I think, as I think Eric's talked about and Tyler as well, I think a lot of being a good lawyer comes with repetition and comes with doing something over and over again. And so watching other people do something is very valuable. But I think it's also really important to ask as many questions as you can throughout the summer. So I know the summer associates that we've had that have been most successful will ask the question, why did you make this revision to this brief or this office action? Or why did, if they're going to an oral argument, why do you think this attorney made the argument in this fashion as opposed to this other way? Or why did they emphasize this point? So I think it's just asking questions throughout the program, I think will help you become a better lawyer and will help you engage others and start conversations with others. And all of these programs offer various mentors, but I think it's important to reach out to others at firms and to develop your network and your connections as much as possible. And you can only do that by starting to ask questions of folks.
Brett, and if I may just play something that you said earlier, also where you said in the summer program, they went to go watch an attorney argue a case at the federal circuit. And that is, when that happens, that's fantastic for exactly that reason. After the argument, hopefully, like sometimes I walk out of the courtroom, I'm like, oh my God, I've been beaten up so badly, I don't want to talk to anybody. But I'll go and I'll talk to the associates and the summer associates, and they'll ask those questions. And there's nothing better than just the candid response that that attorney can't give anywhere else other than in the firm. And that's just really, really important.
Yeah, and kind of to leads into kind of my like core piece of advice that I give kind of some summer associates is that you need to network. I'll introduce my mentees to my network at the firm, and but there's plenty of events where you can meet and engage with all the attorneys at the firm, get to know as many people as possible because that's where your workflow is going to come in from your first year as an associate. And the summer program is designed to integrate you into the culture of the firm, get to know people at the firm, and take advantage of that because you want to leave the summer program having worked with different directors or partners at the firm, different senior associates at the firm, get a good peer group, and because that'll set you up for success as you come in as a first year associate.
This is all excellent. And now for our last question, we'll do strictly 30 seconds or less before we join the breakout rooms. Why should a law student work at your firm? Note, we have a rule here at Summer Associate Hub. The answer cannot be it's the people, because we know you all have great people. But we want to know why should a law student work at your firm? Brett, let's go. Brett, you go first.
Sure. Happy to lead things off. So I think I would say folks should look at our firm because we've got great opportunities, substantive opportunities for folks early in their careers on really exciting cases. So on the high tech side, we're representing a number of news media companies, including the New York Times against OpenAI. There's been a lot of publicity on those cases. They're really exciting. On the life sciences side, we've got a lot of interesting clients that we're working on and working with. We just recently won a very exciting case for Amgen against Regeneron on a drug product called Eylea or aflibercept. And on those cases, we've had junior attorneys, first, second, third year attorneys taking very substantive roles early in their careers, and it's super exciting. So that would be my pitch.
Excellent. Who's up next? Eric,
Okay.
Tyler?
I'll jump
I need
in.
a buzzer next time.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Eric.
well, this is everyone's so sensitive because they're like, I don't want to, insult anybody else. But I think all the firms here have demonstrated excellence across a wide swath of IP. And what I tell people when they interview at Finnegan, what the other firms you're interviewing with, they'll have a great patent litigator. They might have a great appellate litigator. We've got them all in whatever area you want. We have one of the top experts in the country doing that, and they're accessible here. They make themselves accessible. It's always been part of the culture of the firm from the founding. Mark Finnegan always, he would say, I will, I want to look at a resume and see that I have a great attorney, but I really want to go have someone I can hang out with. And that's been, part of the hiring criteria the whole time is you work long hours. You better like the people you work with. And so we have a culture of excellence and a culture of friendliness and no airs. Nobody has I went to Mason, so I'm not going to be putting my diploma, in a prominent place. But the guy next door who went to Stanford, or the woman down the hall who went to Harvard, you wouldn't know it from their office decor, because once you're in Finnegan, you're a Finnegan attorney and nobody cares what you did before.
Excellent. Thank you. Tyler, we'll round out with you.
Yeah. So ultimately, like, you need to make the decision that's best for you. But ultimately, what drew me to Sterne Kessler and what's still true today is that the firm is really a thought leader in patent law. For example, when I was looking at law firms, inter partes reviews were brand new, and Sterne Kessler was really on the front lines developing precedent and kind of exploring the possibilities of what those proceedings could gain. And it was just an exciting time to practice patent law. And the same thing is kind of true today. There's a lot of changes happening at the patent office with IPR proceedings. And Sterne is, again, in a great position and on the front lines, ready to navigate those challenges. And so Sterne is a really exciting place to work because you get to be on the cutting edge of new complex legal issues, and you get to work on cool technology. So yeah, that's kind of my 2 cents there.
Excellent. I want to say a really big thank you to Tyler, Erik, Brett, and Heather for joining us on our panel this evening. It's been really great to hear about each of your firms and kick off the new year with you. And I want to say thank you to our audience who made the time to join us at tonight's first Summer Associate Hub event of the year. We know how precious everyone's time is, and we're really glad you decided to spend it here with us tonight. I'm going to hit the stop recording button.